Hey guys, we're going for the last two achievements in the main game of Tomb Raider 2. And they're annoying. I swear I don't remember this level being so hard. But it took me over an hour to get good RNG at the beginning of the level so that I could get to the ballroom without being riddled with bullet holes. Preserving medkits really matters in this level because you start off with only two large ones and a small one, and later in the level there is only the opportunity to pick up one more small one. And I have died a lot because I don't know what it is with this game, but when enemies shoot you, they do a hell of a lot of damage. And there are quite a few armed enemies in this level. Add to that the camera locks onto enemies, so you could be jumping sideways, have an enemy move to your right, and suddenly forward becomes right. There is no real hard and fast way to do this, so I'm again going to be just throwing tips out there and stuff whilst I let the video play in the background. Unfortunately for Lara, who took the time to put on those badass shades, I turned on old graphics pretty quickly because it is pitch black in that ballroom and you don't really have time to pick up flares. You can only grab a couple of items in here before the guys with the baseball bats come in and start attacking you, so you want to prioritize what you picked up. I came across a comment on True Achievements that suggested you only pick up the shotgun shells and both large medkits. The items I took were a little different because I was having so much trouble staying alive, so I grabbed all three medkits, the shotgun and the stack of shells with it, and then another stack. I had enough time to do all that before anyone got to the room. If you have perfect movement, then you can manage it, and then I would put a save there because then you can try and reset the RNG and not have to make all these perfect little moves to try and grab everything. Speaking of saving, if you get through a group of enemies and your health is still looking fairly decent, then save. If you think you can do better, then reload a previous save and try again. But putting these saves after each group allows you to go back and try and get better RNG for the next section. The enemies do tend to spawn in groups of 2 or 4, and there are certain things that you need to do to trigger some, like going out the front door will trigger something. You have to turn around, run back into the ballroom and wait for them to come. But, and I don't know if this is just my game, with the enemies doing that thing where they try to get on top or underneath you, I found that running straight into the ballroom, they would come into the house and then climb the stairs. So you can see a lot of me going into camera mode and looking to try and see where they are and kiting them. A lot of that and some of the saves and loads and obviously deaths have been cut out, but I was saving after I killed every group and I was going into camera mode. I want to say far too often, but it's there for a reason and it's incredibly useful. Another thing that's incredibly useful is the watch you have in your inventory, which gives you your level statistics. We know that there are 16 kills in the level, and the last one is the boss. So when you get to 15 kills, you want to put a save there, and you can actually get both achievements using that save. After you've killed the first 5 enemies in the ballroom, you'll have a bit of a break. You need to trigger the next set of enemies, so now you can run back upstairs and pick up the rest of the supplies that you missed before. To trigger these guys, you literally just have to walk out the front door and then turn around and make a beeline back into the ballroom again. I'm not sure exactly how many guys come through here because I've had different numbers, but it should be most of the rest of the enemies. I do know that there is a dog and a guard that will spawn when you run outside again. I think you have to run around in the driveway to get them to spawn. I'm not entirely sure. It did take me a while to get them to finally show up. But when you've killed those guys, then drop down your save, and this is where the 2 paths split. There are a couple of things I'm going to point out here to just fill the silence. You're using a shotgun, so obviously the closer you are to the enemy, the better, but that also has its downside because then they hit you more frequently. The music in the ballroom will sound like it's turned off after a while, but it is still technically on, so you're fine. Don't mess with the switch, else that could screw the achievement up. And you might have noticed that when I kite the enemies, I stand against the wall to the left. That is because then I will take less damage and they won't be able to shoot me before I can see them. And it also stops me from shooting at them before they get into the room. So sticking to the left side originally and then jumping around once they're in the room is kind of my tactic there. The boss spawns in the obstacle course area. I don't think there's a set place for him to spawn. It will just be around there. So you'll need to go outside and to the right. And the first time I did this, I had to go pretty far along the path before he spawned. And then the second time when I came back to get the other achievement, he spawned before I'd even gotten through the gate. So it varies, I guess. Once he's spawned, you need to lead him all the way back into the ballroom. And then once he sets foot in there, just completely lay into him. The achievement should pop when the last cutscene starts playing. As for the other achievement, in what seems to be a running theme with my videos, the footage did not record. So I now need to go and re-record that so that I can then come back and talk over it.
Don't you think you've seen enough?
So I'm back, and it's definitely not nearly 2 days later. So now for the second achievement, we want to reload that last save and run outside to try and trigger the boss again. Honestly, the gameplay footage for this achievement is even worse in terms of being chopped up because I got to a point where I was taking 2 steps, opening the camera mode, taking another 2 steps, opening the camera mode, because he just wouldn't spawn. So I've tried to make it coherent enough, but I have been cutting large chunks out. Anyway, when you get his attention when he spawns, you want to run back in the house, upstairs, through Lara's bedroom, into the bathroom. And then again, I had issues with him just wandering the hell off wherever he wanted to go, which, fun. But the goal here is to get him to the side of the bathroom that the window is on. The initial time that I did this, when I got the achievement, it was great. He landed in the perfect spot so that when the cutscene started, it looked like it was panning from his dead body to Lara. But unfortunately, I didn't get so lucky with his placement this time. The AI can be a bit unpredictable, so he might just decide to run out into the room or, try and go back downstairs or some crap like that. But if you get on the opposite side of him, hopefully it should push him across the room towards the window. At this point, you probably won't have any medkits left, so you're pretty much just tanking the damage. So shoot him as fast as you can, push him towards that window, and he should appear in the cutscene. Though he does appear to be embedded in the wall there. And with that, we are done with the main game of Tomb Raider 2. Here are my end game statistics in case you're interested in that. What's really funny is my phone screen looks like this. Absolutely full of achievements.